This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
My guest today on Sports Files is the head football coach of the University of Memphis Tigers, Justin Fuente. There is never an off season for a college football coach. There's spring football, there's training camp, there's the actual season, and then there's recruiting, which seemingly is happening all the time, 24/7, 12 months a year. Justin Fuente just completed his third signing class as Tigers head football coach. And as everyone knows, the business of recruiting is an inexact science, and often the benefit of all the hard work doesn't pay off for several years. Of course, when you're a program like Memphis, you hope the payoff is much quicker. When Fuente accepted the job, Memphis football was in a deep hole, and for the last 2 years, he and his staff have been trying to dig themselves out of it. After a 4-win season in Fuente's first year, the Tigers could only muster 3 wins last season, although many will tell you the team was much improved. But even if you believe that to be the case, the Tigers ended the season with a thud, losing their last 3, 2 of them by blowout margin. Today, Justin Fuente joins me to look at his latest recruiting class, his assessment on where the program stands, and a look at the future, which includes a very formidable 2014 schedule. It's all next on Sports Files. Justin, great to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in again. Your goals going into recruiting, and do you feel you accomplished those goals?
Yeah, we knew we had to address the front seven of the future. That was the first thing that we said defensively. We are a senior-laden defense. We have 13 seniors on defense coming back this year. It's still going to take us another year to kind of balance our roster out after the things that we inherited, but we really felt like we needed to sign a front seven, a defensive line and linebacking core that could play for us for the next several years after we graduate all these guys. So that was the first thing. The second thing was we had to continue to add depth in the offensive line. That's been a much talked about position since we got here, and we are about to get that thing about balanced out from a numbers wise and having the ages of the kids spread out through our roster. And then we needed a couple skill kids. We signed a couple wide receivers I'm excited about, and we wanted a big tailback. And we certainly found that over in West Memphis.
Yeah, and I want to talk specifically about these individuals. But in general terms, how well received is Memphis football when you're out on the road recruiting this program?
Well, it's been great. We signed about 7 kids from within 100 miles of Memphis this year. And I think the word is getting out about, not just about our staff, but about the type of program we're building, about the support that we have. From our athletic director, Tom Bowen, from Brad Martin, our interim president. I think word's getting out that way. I think as a league, personally, I think we've got to do a better job of selling our league. And you take a step back and watch bowl season and watch what our league did in the bowl season between what Central Florida did to Baylor, what Louisville did to Miami, and that's not even counting Cincinnati and some of the other good teams that we've got in the league. So. I think there's some unfamiliarity with our league. I think as a league, we've got to do a better job of getting that out so that the kids truly understand how good a football is being played in the league. But we're being received very well. I'm awfully excited about it.
But I guess that does come with the territory of being a league that's been around for a year.
Well, yeah, and there's been so much turnover in realignment and all that kind of stuff, just kind of finding your identity. And, the ultimate way to prove it is on the field. And I think slowly through time, you'll see this league as South Florida continues to improve, as we continue to improve. We're bringing East Carolina into the league, who's got a very good tradition. I think you'll see us start to earn that respect that maybe we don't have as much as we feel like we deserve right now.
All right, let's talk about some of these individuals. The big receiver, McKillen, 6'5", a JUCO guy. You got about 4 or 5 JUCO guys, and the rest are high school seniors. Tell me about him, because I know last year the receiving core, and there was guys that stepped up like Sam Kraft, who you got from Olive Branch, but for the most part they struggled as a unit. What's McKillen going to bring to the table?
Well, Greg is a big kid. He's 220 pounds. He's from just up the road in Blytheville, Arkansas. Went to junior college, was kind of a very heavily recruited kid out of high school, and then went to junior college in Mississippi and got hurt, and it's kind of bounced around. But a great kid, a great worker that is really going to add some size and strength. A 6'2", 6'3" guy that I think can handle the bigger league and the more physical league that we're going to play in. So we're obviously excited to get him on campus and get him in the system.
I know you like the tight ends. You went out and you got a big tight end. It seemed like this past season you didn't go to the tight end as much as you did your first year, but I know that's something you like to do. Tell me about this kid you picked up.
Well, Tyler Kolodny was a baseball player out of high school. We signed a junior college. Tyler was in junior college, but he played 6 or 7 years minor league baseball. So he's 24, 25 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Very mature kid. I guess young man is probably what I should say. He knocked around in minor leagues for several years, finally realized that he probably wasn't going to make it, and went to a junior college out in California and started playing football. And he's very raw, but he's very gifted, and he's eager to learn. He's on campus right now, has really jumped into our off-season, our lifting and our running with both feet. Kind of a blank slate, though. He doesn't have any bad habits. He doesn't have any habits. He's just trying to figure out.
Needs to learn all good habits.
Yeah, where the C gap is and all the things that come with playing tight end. So we're excited to get him in there with the return of Alan Cross and a couple other guys.
You mentioned he's a midseason enrollee. A few of these guys they're already here on campus, right?
Yeah, that's right. We had about 4 or 5 midterm guys that came in that have been in our off-season program right now and kind of get a little bit head start, get to go through spring ball before we start practice again in the summertime.
All right, a moment ago you talked about the big running back from West Memphis. You smiled. Jarvis Cooper is the kid you're talking about, who played both ways. Was there a tug of war? Now, you're the head guy, but did Barry Odom want him for defense? How did that work out?
Well, yes, he did. And we have leaned that way defensively in my time here. We'll always do that. I believe it takes a little something extra defensively to make those things work. A good defense travels everywhere, whether it's rainy or windy or snowy or
right.
75 degrees and partly cloudy. But I'm excited about Jarvis Cooper because of the type of kid he is. He was obviously the large school defensive player of the year in Arkansas on the defensive line. He also played fullback in a triple option type offense. We're absolutely going to start him off at tailback because we wanted a big running back, a big physical running back, and see how Jarvis likes it and see how it goes. But the biggest thing is he's such a great kid. I mean, a great worker. Everybody in the school loves him. His coaches love him. There's a bunch of people in West Memphis that are really invested in his future, and I'm excited that he decided to stay close to home.
I would imagine you could sell pretty much anybody, but especially an Arkansas kid that plays running back. Well, yeah, we had a kid named D'Angelo Williams. He was pretty good. He turned out all right.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well for D'Angelo and for the University of Memphis.
Let's talk about the quarterback situation. You go out and you get a freshman, Clay Holgerson from Texas. You get the junior college kid from Fort Scott Community College, Jason Stewart. Paxton Lynch will be a redshirt sophomore. You have another young man, the Oklahoma, Braden.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we stand? What do these guys bring to the table? And let's talk a little bit about the quarterback situation.
Well, we're in a situation where Eric Matthews was returning, but he was only 1 semester away from graduating. Here's a kid that's worked his tail off in the classroom to go ahead and to get his degree, and is going to be behind Paxton. So our conversations with Eric were, let's go ahead and get you graduate. Let's go ahead and get your degree. And then obviously we can help you go play somewhere for your last semester, wherever it is you'd like to play. So when that conversation happened, all of a sudden you're sitting there with not much depth at quarterback, which is okay. And we addressed it with Jason. We wanted to bring a guy in that's played in some games, that had a chance to come in and compete and continue to push Paxton. And we brought Clay in because we felt like he was a very polished kid. He's one of those. He's a coach. He's from a coach's family. His uncle is the head coach at West Virginia, and his dad was offensive coordinator for him in high school. So grew up around the game, very polished, great understanding of the game. So now we're sitting there with a true freshman, a redshirt freshman, a sophomore in Paxton, and a junior. Now we're finally getting things balanced out. and it's a little bit like that throughout our roster. We're finally getting our numbers back up to closer to 85 and getting our classes and everybody balanced out so that we have a really functional football team.
Well, you coach like most coaches do. You're going to play the best players to give you the best chance to win. And last year, and it may not have been a popular choice at first, you went with the youngster Lynch over Jacob Karam. Now you bring in a JC guy, and there's already people saying, well, he wouldn't bring in a JC guy if he wasn't going to play him, but that's not the case. You like competition, but may the best man win, right?
Yeah, we'll put the ball out there and put the best guy out there. I mean, we were very clear with Jason, our situation. We had a returning starter that was a freshman that we feel like has a chance to be very, very good. And but same respect, come on in here and let's go compete. And Jason was fine with it. We kind of put all our cards on the table in recruiting, and we're gonna play the best guy. It doesn't mean that we're disappointed in Paxton. It just meant that we've got to make sure that we've got some depth there. I mean, we're still in a new process of building this thing. I mean, it's a lot different than a lot of other situations that you can inherit. I mean, it's bits and pieces that to ensure that you're okay down the road.
Exactly. But I would imagine, though, your expectations for now Paxton with a year under his belt are going to be more. You expect more coming up this next year.
Absolutely. We'll continue to demand more of him, and I expect that he'll continue to feel more comfortable kind of in his own skin and around the team and those sorts of things. And I expect him to continue to develop. He's a man with great natural tools that at times played outstanding for us during the year, at times showed that he is young. And it's a challenge of everybody around him to continue to get better and improve, and for Paxton to do the same.
You did very well in Mississippi. Picked up a couple kids from Grenada, a couple of kids from Byhalia. I had an analyst on my radio show who was glowing about those linebackers you picked up. So you did really well down there. Yeah,
really excited about that. Like I said, it kind of falls in that within 100 miles radius that we want to do really well in. And our whole staff did a great job recruiting those kids. From James Shebest, who's in charge of Mississippi, to Galen Scott, who's our linebacker coach, to Barry Odom, our defensive coordinator, to members of our offensive staff. I mean, those are guys that came to our camp in the summertime, and I walked off the field and said, we need those kids in our program. Those kids have the right kind of work ethic. They have the right kind of dedication. We can build a football program with those kids. And it was a long process, but that's exactly what we ended up doing. As a staff, we went out and recruited them, and we got them here. I remember last year on the show, you talked to me about some of the kids that may make an immediate impact. And again, you're thin on numbers, so it's obvious. Sam Kraft stepped in and was one of those guys that made an immediate impact. You've already gone over some names like Cooper, the quarterbacks. Give me a couple of guys who you think from this recruiting class will make an immediate impact. Well, I think there's going to be opportunity for several of them. And when we talk to them, we talk about you need to approach it that way. I think Thomas Brown will have an opportunity to play in some fashion somewhere, provide us depth at linebacker, play on special teams. JUCO guy, right? Yeah, I think but he's only going to be a sophomore. Okay. So I think he'll have a chance to get in there and get in the mix. Those young linebackers you talked about, I think will have an opportunity. You'll have a chance to see them out there playing early. Let's talk spring football. It's right around the corner. Is it March 2nd? March 2nd we start. March 2nd? Awesome. Can't wait. Hopefully the weather cooperates a little better. I'd like for it to warm up just a tad if we could get that. We've been working out at 5:30 in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's been pretty chilly out there. We had some guys that have long beards, and by the end of the workouts, they had icicles in their beards. That's a great look. But yeah, I'm hoping it warms up a little bit. What are your goals in spring football? Well, my goal for the team is we have to do a better job as a team. We had too many other things that had nothing to do with winning ball games going on. And that's the same message I've shared with our kids. And in order for us to take the next step forward, we've already set a level of work ethic, a level of dedication, a level of toughness, and the kids have risen up to that. The kids that are still in our program are tough, and they have demonstrated those abilities. We've got to take the next step in accountability. So I mean, we're going to introduce offense, defense, special teams, but I'm as interested in watching our team come together and our seniors learn how to lead. You know, we've taken it to the point now where we're teaching a leadership class with our seniors. You know, this is how you do these things, and these are how you handle these certain situations. Because I'm not sure they really had anybody to learn from in the past.
Yeah, it's a good point.
We've had good examples. There have been kids that have come through our program that have done a great job in leadership roles, but we have a large number of them now. And I think that's the key, is we have an opportunity to grow most as a team through that level.
Well, one of those leaders that I believe was, and hopefully will be again this year, you fortunately get him back for another year. Quick thought on Brandon Hayes.
Oh, just fired up for Brandon. You know, a great kid, a great story, local kid. You know, his second kind of tour of duty here at Memphis,
Right.
and then walks on. Everybody knows his story. Works his way all the way up into playing quite a bit. Now he's going to get pushed by young kids, and that's what we told him when he decided to come back. I said, now you're going to have to go compete for your job, just like you did when you're competing to get on the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just
Exactly.
that's the same hunger that we've got to have. And Brandon's embraced that, done a great job in our off season. I'm as excited to have him back for his leadership abilities as anything else. He's one of those seniors that we've got that I think has a chance to serve as a great example for young guys.
We have about a minute. Last year, you didn't have to make any changes with your staff. There was no turnover, which is very strange in this day and age. You had to make a couple of moves this year. Talk briefly about that.
Yeah, excited about where we're going. We hired Ricky Hunley as our defensive line coach. Ricky Hunley could go do anything he wanted in
Big
the
name.
world. And he just decided to come here and teach and mentor our defensive linemen and be a part of us building a program here at Memphis. Obviously, he's college football Hall of Famer, been in the NFL, played and coached, great track record. You know, we lost Chris Vaughn, our corner coach, to the University of Texas, which is a great thing. You know, I don't want to lose any coach, but if you're going to losing one to a program like that coming from here, I think speaks volumes about the people that we've got in our program. And we've replaced him and with Ryan Walters from North Texas, and we're excited about that fit, and we're ready to move forward.
And hopefully it doesn't hurt to have Clinton McDonald and Kippy Brown, two former Tigers, winning a Super Bowl. So you could say, listen, you know,
right.
we produce great players here at Memphis, and they go on to do big things, right?
Yeah, played great, a huge win in the Super Bowl, and we were all watching and excited for them, and it's great for the Tiger Nation.
Never a bad thing to be talking football in February.
No, always enjoy it.
Have a good spring camp, and we're looking forward to seeing you next year. We'll be talking to you throughout the months ahead.
You bet.
Justin,
I appreciate it.
Good to have you on again.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break. Overtime is coming up next. From Memphis football, we turn to Memphis hoops for this week's overtime segment. Last Saturday, the Tigers pulled out a 60-54 win over Gonzaga in a battle of top 25 teams. The crowd was absolutely electric, and present among the more than 18,000 plus were members of the 1973 Memphis State basketball team that advanced to the NCAA championship game, eventually falling to Bill Walton and UCLA. The 73 Tigers were honored at halftime after spending a few days in Memphis, reminiscing about the glory days and visiting their old stomping grounds. Some of the biggest names from that team have passed on, such as the great Larry Finch, Ronnie Robinson, and Coach Gene Bartow. And like those individuals, the team as a whole will never be forgotten. I had a chance to catch up with two other stalwarts from that squad, the great Larry Keenan and Billy Buford.
Billy, it's absolutely fabulous to see you. How does it feel to be back with many of your former teammates here being honored?
It's great, you know. These were my teammates, and you know, we like old men. We telling stories, and some of them are right, some of them are wrong. But it's good to see everybody.
So it's like a fish story. Sometimes they're exaggerated, huh?
Definitely so. I mean, I've told a couple of them today that they don't seem to remember. So it must be.
Do you feel like trailblazers? Obviously, Memphis basketball was there before you guys, and it's been here for many years after. But to be able to set the stage, to be a national championship contender that went to the finals, the legacy is there for this team. You must feel good about that.
That's true. You know, when we got here, you had Keenan came from junior college, Wes also, and myself, and Larry and Ronnie were already here. And it's amazing. I remember Wes asked Coach Bartow one time, said, "How did you handle all of us?" And Coach Bartow looked at us and said, "Because you were all men." And we were able to accept our roles and play together as a team. And that's what I found out is that we played as a team.
What is your greatest memory other than playing in the championship game? What's your greatest memories of that team?
I think it was how we came together. We had a closed-door meeting, and it wasn't too pretty. But we kind of called each other out, and we got an opportunity to determine what we wanted to do and what kind of team we wanted to have. And we knew that Finch was going to shoot, Ronnie going to rebound, and K was going to shoot. And the rest of us said we got to just find a place to get in. I just remember that they roasted me pretty good while I was in there, but they told the truth that coming from a junior college and being a pretty good player there, I came in thinking that I was going to start here. And I remember Coach Bartow said, "No, you ain't going to start." I was pretty frustrated and I almost went home. But Kay came over after practice and said, "Well, if you're going to leave, you got to come through me." And I came back to practice, and at the end of the season, Coach Bartow asked me, he said, "Bill, I need you to start." And I said, "Why now?" I'm pretty well comfortable where I'm at. But it was more for the team, and Wes had to go to the bench. But there was no dissension because we just wanted to win.
It's a wonderful feeling to see all my old teammates and their families and relive the days that we relived in 1973. It's a good feeling. It's great.
What made the team so special?
Chemistry. We had a genuine like for each other, and we had a genuine want the other guy to do good. So everybody pulled together from day one. It was always like that.
Are you constantly, I know you're in San Antonio and you've been away from here a long time, but maybe letters or emails or people getting in touch with you, when you run into somebody from Memphis, are you constantly reminded about how great that team was, what it meant for the city?
Yes, I am. No matter where I go, if I meet somebody from Memphis, yes, that they think the 73 team is the greatest team.
Memphis fans, as rabid as I've known them to be since my 19 years here in Memphis, so they were really as crazy, supportive, and nuts as they are here today. Were they back then the same way?
I think we were like the start of it, but I was just telling somebody here a minute ago about the Mid-South Coliseum. That place was rowdy. Man, it was like, I think it held 14,000 people, and probably 10,000 of those people were students. And we had a great time. So yeah, I think we were like the start of all of that. I like to think of it. I mean, but we had good teams. Memphis always had good teams. They had good teams before that, and they've had good teams after us. So I think Memphis has been a basketball town for a long time.
Larry, what was it like playing under Gene?
Coach Bartow. Coach Bartow was, he was quite a disciplinarian. He as the year went along, but he loosened up a little bit, and it was more or less a working relationship between us. He's a good guy, very good guy, and a good coach. As a matter of fact, the last conversation that I had with Coach Bartow, and I asked him this question. I said, "Coach," which was a couple of years just before he passed, a couple of years ago. I said, "Coach, what was it about me that you really liked?" So here I am thinking about all these high accolades that he was going to put on me and all that. He said, "No, man, you practiced hard and played hard." So that was that simple. So that kind of summed up his attitude. There was no flashiness about him. He was a good guy.
How great was that? Oh, by the way, this year's Tiger squad has another huge game this Saturday when they face UConn on the road. The same Huskies team that took down the Tigers at FedEx Forum in mid-January, 83-73. Well, we've reached the NBA All-Star break, and despite the Grizzlies resembling a MASH unit for most of the season, the team is in position to make a run at a return to the postseason. Nothing has come easy for the Grizz, who will have 30 games remaining on their schedule and will need to catch fire after the break and likely need the help of either Phoenix, Dallas, or Golden State to play mediocre basketball. The trade deadline is the 20th, and I don't expect the team to make a move, although it's not out of the realm of possibility. Grizzlies fans need to collectively knock on wood and hope that the team can stay healthy the rest of the way, or that shot at the postseason becomes a very long shot. And that'll do it for today. Remember, you can catch any of our past episodes of Sports Files by simply going to our website at WKNO.org and clicking on KNO Tonight. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.